Hi there, my name is Miel. I'm an artist, zinester, scenic designer, lighting designer, and so on. And today I wanted to show off the zines I've made so far, explain what zines are, and tell you a little bit about how I got into making them. I said in my last video, which was a little introduction to me and my art, that I was getting a little tired of my own art and creative process. I mentioned that the goal to make my art marketable was really weighing down on me. To elaborate a little on that, capitalism and the commodification of art were deeply entrenched in my creative process and ability to create art. What art I did make was unoriginal and expressed nothing aside from the skills I was developing while creating the piece, which I want to defend by saying that there's nothing inherently wrong with making marketable art or creating a piece just to showcase or develop a skill. But what I found was that personally, I was really dissatisfied with my art. I was not happy with what it expressed, if at all, and couldn't really find my voice in what I was creating. As a painter, I was always really envious of people who could compose original pieces while I was there solely creating works from reference. Admittedly, I was still a beginner, developing skills and stuff like that in order to eventually progress into... There's an ice cream truck going by. I'm just gonna keep going. I only ever seemed to be able to copy rather than develop my own ideas. In a way, I feel that I was never taught to. I want to preface this by saying that I never took an art class beyond elementary school resource time, until I got to college, that is. However, I feel that American public education is kind of caters towards the analysis and assessment of other people's ideas rather than the creative conception of your own ideas. Like as you see through creative writing and stuff like that. Think of that in terms of literary analysis, essays, and so on, which is still an important skill to learn, given that that's media literacy and things like that, and it should be taught in schools. But the constant drilling of assessing other people's ideas and even getting your assessment of these assessments assessed by other people is kind of this analytical, cold feedback loop that lacks creativity. This very narrow set of analytical skills left me frankly uncreative. I was so used to skill assessment and analysis that originality and creativity were things that I struggled with and still struggle with today as an artist. So what does this have to do with zines? Zines, if you don't already know, are a freeform medium that usually results in a little self-published booklet, and these booklets can pertain to pretty much any idea under the sun. You name it, you can make a zine about it. I know that early zines were a place for underprivileged voices to be heard in the publishing and literary world. Later zines developed into the fanzine with the rise of fandom in the 60s, and then were later popularized as a means of political discourse in the 80s and 90s by the Riot Grrrl feminist movement. Since then, zines have become a medium for any and all artists to create pretty much any and all ideas in a self-published punk DIY accessible format. And that's something that I really love about having discovered this medium, is that it's so free form. Upon introduction to it, I was pretty much immediately inspired. I found places like qzap.org that showcase zines from pretty much the past 30-40 years or so, and it was all downhill from there. I had finally found a medium with which I could express myself, and there were no real rules for creation. It doesn't even have to be good to be a zine. You don't need fancy paints or tools or a college degree or professional training or perfectionism to create a zine. Anyone can make a zine about anything they want, and that's the beauty of it. And I found that quite liberating in my artistic practice. Thinking about it now, I think I was partly relieved to have discovered a medium that people in my immediate circle had never heard of before, so there were no expectations for what I could share in terms of what is making a zine. And without further ado, I present to you my master copy of my very first zine. This is a mini zine on penguins. I really think I need to make more zines in this style because it's all collage and papercraft, and I think I've gotten a little too used to making them digitally. Inside are haikus by Christopher J. Wilson, a big photo of some penguin chicks I cut from National Geographic, and on the last page I have a letter or a little note to a penguin researcher who happens to be the father of my partner. And on the left here is a drawing made by her of a little penguin. And on the back is this artsy little guy who I thought was really adorable. Next I made Hubris, which I want to show you, but I'm not going to read because it is a slightly erotic poem about T for T, love and sex. I have a little bit censored here, and this is the original master copy that I made and collaged and wrote in and all that fun stuff. Used this art by TG Golden Art on Instagram, and didn't get their permission to use it in my in the zine that I wanted to sell, so I used the original Aphrodite art by Botticelli to recreate the cover, remade the zine, and used a bunch of classic art in it. And it's probably one of my favorite pieces ever, actually. The next one I made is Lessons to Learn from Mushrooms. This is the master copy, and it's used using stickers. I cut out text that I printed out and used a brown and yellow pen around the edges. What I just realized that I didn't explain a second ago is that these are all mini zines, and what a mini zine is a single page zine. Well, it's an 8-page zine made out of a single sheet of paper. So you put all of your decorations on, you fold it up, you cut the middle, and it makes this little booklet. And so I'll probably make a tutorial for this in the future, even though there's a bazillion tutorials out there already, but there are just a lot of really good ways to do it. So I figure, why not share mine? Next, I made Salvation, which was created in a bout of frustration with the evangelicals preaching on my college campus. It reads super simple, but I guess it's just as effective at expressing my ideas and my feelings. So this is Salvation. They tried to convince me God is dead. God is not dead, I know. I pointed to my chest and said, look at me, look at this. This is God, this is my salvation. And so I have some photos and art from the AIDS quilt of Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera. I have Lou Sullivan in here, and Dyke marches and things like that. Things that really represent pride and the movement to me and what, life is all about. So this is my little trans passion zine. Next is 1,000 Strawberries. This is the original that I made using a really shitty printer that had really huge margins. So I had like this kind of limiting format to work with, and I really didn't like it in the end, so I remade it on a different printer, and I had smaller margins and was able to fill up the whole page, and it came out in crisper colors, which I really like. This is just another little poem about my partner, using strawberry imagery, which I really adore. And then I have 4 of these. Don't look at them for too long. Another one of my popular trading zines is 6 Facts That Fuel My Spam Addiction. And this is a digitally made zine. I made it, I think, in Canva. I was testing that tool out for zine making. So, 1, spam tastes good, so salty. Spam can be used to make a variety of meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Spam can be sliced, cubed, cut into strips, so many forms. Spam can be fried, seared, baked, grilled, or even eaten raw, though I don't recommend that last one. Spam comes in a bunch of different flavors, which I like this page the most. It's very fun. Spam is used in a variety of global dishes. And then I have cool recipes on the back, which this is my first zine that I made that has something on the back. So you unfold it, and there's stuff going on back here, which is really exciting to me. I love when zines do that. I have a couple of that I've collected from other artists that have that hidden feature. The next 2 zines that I made were not in order of the rest of them, but they go in a pair. And this is Songs That Remind Me of My Mom and Lessons I Learned from My Dad. They're really sentimental personal zines that people really seem to enjoy for their sentimentality. This is really just like a personal little note, and design-wise, I used one image to create the front and the back cover, so it creates this kind of cohesive look between the 2 panels, which I think was kind of clever of me. And then Lessons I Learned from My Dad is made in his favorite color. That's a picture of us on the front. There's a picture of us on the back. And it reads, a well-maintained car will last you many years. Smile often and laugh even more. Never forget your passions. Working hard is well worth it. You can be a man and still be loving and kind. Books will get you far, but your ability to problem solve will get you farther. Next came Moonlight, which is another piece of poetry about my partner. And I made this August of last year. And it's a really short poem that takes up all the pages. But if you notice, when you pull it apart, it makes one cohesive image of the moon, which this was my first kind of all-over design that I really liked. It doesn't really read well, like when it's all unfolded like this, because the text faces in two different directions. But I think that's just a fun little secret of opening it up. Then came a bunch of creative little one-offs that I'll probably never make copies of, but here they are. And also, I'm sure you've noticed my teeny tinies, my itty bitty mini zines. A book of tiny affirmations for everyday use, and then a zine of tiny things, which were both made in a day and are just one of these squares, these rectangles, cut out and folded into its own mini zine. That's what these are, like that. So that was most of my zines so far. I know they're all minis right now, but I am working on a quarter-size zine, or a quarter-size per zine, which is a personal zine, called Literally What Am I Doing With My Life, Issue 1, so keep an eye out for that. As evidenced by my work here, I have a long way to go in terms of creating weirder, more personal, expressive art. Overall, I'm still super proud of what I've made so far, and I think that it's a great start. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.